Imagine that Sarah, a marketing director in Manhattan, jolting awake at 6 a.m. to her phone buzzing with urgent emails. Her mind immediately races through the day's pressures. The client presentation, her teenage daughter's college applications, the mounting credit card bills. By 6:15 a.m., she's already mentally exhausted, reactive, and operating from a place of anxiety rather than intention. Now imagine David, a software engineer in Chicago, who wakes at the same hour but begins differently. He sits quietly in his designated corner, speaks 5 deliberate lines to himself, and enters his day with clarity, purpose, and unshakable inner strength. The difference between Sarah and David isn't luck, talent, or circumstances. It's their mastery of the morning ritual. Let me share with you a powerful truth that the ancient Stoics understood. Your morning words aren't just words. They are the architects of your day. Every sentence you tell yourself upon waking sculpts your mindset, lays the foundation for your day's experiences, and step-by-step constructs your life's path. The quiet moments of the morning hold the key to commanding the rhythm of your day. And if you harness each day, you harness your life. The straightforward yet deeply profound. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who ruled Rome while facing plagues, wars, and betrayals, began each day with written reflections that would later become his meditations. He understood that the mind, like a fortress, requires daily fortification. As he wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work as a human being.'" This wasn't mere motivation, it was philosophical armor for the battles ahead. Think of your mind as this fortress that Marcus described. Each thought, each word you affirm, fortifies its walls. You can choose to fortify it with strength and wisdom, building ramparts of resilience and towers of virtue. Or you can let doubts, fears, and reactive emotions erode its power like water wearing away stone. The choice is yours every single morning. However, remember this fortress needs consistent reinforcement. Not just when under siege, but daily, deliberately, with the discipline of a Roman soldier preparing for battle. This is why the Stoics developed Purposeful, a practice of continuous attention and mindfulness that begins the moment we wake. It's about setting clear intentions that align with virtue rather than letting our minds drift toward anxiety, comparison, or complaint. When you start each day by affirming your strength, your purpose, and your capacity for growth, you're not just practicing positive thinking. You're engaging in a philosophical discipline that has guided humanity's greatest leaders through history's greatest challenges. Today, I want to guide you through how just 5 Stoic affirmations each morning can profoundly transform your approach to life. These 5 lines are not mere words. They are your daily reinforcement, the discipline that nurtures your inner strength, the clarity that unveils your path to wisdom and peace. Every morning presents a fresh canvas, a new beginning, where you have the power to shape the day ahead just as the dawn breaks, scattering light across the horizon. 1. The Dichotomy of Control, Mastering Your Mental Fortress. Maria, a financial analyst in Los Angeles, sits trapped in gridlock traffic on the 405 freeway at 8:30 a.m. Her important client meeting starts in 20 minutes and she's still 15 miles away. Her heart pounds, her hands grip the steering wheel, and she feels her day spiraling out of control before it's even begun. Meanwhile, across the country in Manhattan, James faces a different crisis. His boss just announced massive budget cuts, potentially eliminating his department. His colleagues panic, updating their resumes and spreading rumors, but James remains remarkably calm, focused on what he can actually influence rather than what he cannot. The difference between Maria's suffering and James's serenity lies in understanding what the Stoics called the fundamental teaching of philosophy, the dichotomy of control. This principle, which forms the bedrock of Stoic wisdom, distinguishes between what is up to us and what is not up to us. Epictetus, who lived as a slave before becoming one of history's greatest philosophers, taught that our happiness and peace depend entirely on recognizing this distinction. Some things are within our power, Epictetus wrote, while others are not. What's within our power includes our judgments, our desires, our actions, and our responses. What's not within our power includes other people's behavior, traffic patterns, economic conditions, and the countless external circumstances that seem to control our emotional state. Yet here's the revolutionary insight: we suffer not because of external events themselves, but because we attempt to control what cannot be controlled while neglecting what can be controlled. Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist, offered a complementary insight that resonates deeply with Stoic practice. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. This wisdom aligns seamlessly with the Stoic practice of morning reflection, the discipline of looking inward to awaken your true potential rather than fixating on external circumstances beyond your influence. When you begin each day with thoughtful examination of what you can actually control, you engage in a dialogue with yourself that promotes profound self-awareness and aligns your actions with your deepest values. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his personal journal that would become the Meditations, captured this principle perfectly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Notice he didn't say you have power over your circumstances, your colleagues, your commute, or your company's financial decisions. He said you have power over your mind, your interpretations, your responses, your focus, and your character development in the face of whatever life presents. This isn't passive resignation or helpless acceptance. It's the most empowering realization possible. While you cannot control the external world, you possess complete sovereignty over your internal world. This internal sovereignty includes your ability to choose courage over fear, wisdom over ignorance, justice over selfishness, and temperance over excess. These four cardinal virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, represent practical, actionable qualities that guide our daily decisions and interactions regardless of external circumstances. Consider how this applies to modern urban challenges. When your subway train breaks down in Chicago, making you late for work, you cannot control the mechanical failure, but you can control whether you spend those extra minutes in frustrated anger or use them for reflection and planning. When your Seattle startup faces funding challenges, you cannot control investor decisions, but you can control your work ethic, your attitude toward teammates, and your commitment to excellence regardless of outcomes. The Stoics practiced what they called premeditatio malorum, visualizing potential challenges and preparing mentally to face them with equanimity and virtue. This isn't pessimistic thinking, it's strategic preparation. Just as athletes visualize successful performance, Stoics visualize virtuous responses to difficulties. This morning practice of mental preparation transforms potential obstacles from sources of anxiety into opportunities for character development. Creating a sacred space for this morning practice isn't just about finding a quiet corner in your home, it's about carving out a sanctuary where your mind can cultivate the peace and clarity necessary for this daily philosophical work. This space becomes both a physical and psychological platform where you engage with your deepest intentions and prepare for the day's challenges with wisdom rather than worry. Jung emphasized the importance of setting aside a personal area for contemplation, believing it essential for personal growth and self-awareness. He argued that such a space helps bring the unconscious patterns that typically control our reactions into conscious awareness, where we can examine and transform them. Similarly, Marcus Aurelius would retreat to write and reflect, understanding that this practice was crucial to his development as both a leader and a human being. Your sacred morning space should minimize distractions and enhance focus. Consider elements like comfortable seating, natural light to invigorate the mind, or soft lighting to create calm ambience. Some prefer complete silence, while others find instrumental music or nature sounds conducive to focused reflection. Personal items that inspire you, meaningful books, symbols of achievement, or a journal for thoughts aren't mere decorations but tools that reinforce your commitment to this transformative practice. The modern therapeutic concept expressed in the Serenity Prayer echoes this ancient Stoic wisdom: grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. This philosophy provides a clear path to peace of mind and resilience by helping us distinguish between external events and internal reactions, focusing our energy where it can actually make a difference. When you establish this foundation of understanding what you can and cannot control, you prepare yourself to engage with the specific affirmations that will reshape your daily experience and, ultimately, your entire approach to living. 2. The discipline of action governing your responses. Rachel, a project manager at a Seattle tech company, receives an email at 9:47 a.m. that makes her blood boil. A colleague has publicly criticized her work in front of the entire team, questioning her competence and suggesting she's been coasting on the project. Her first instinct is to fire back immediately, defending herself with sharp words that would damage relationships and escalate the conflict. But Rachel has been practicing the first Stoic affirmation: today I control my reactions. Instead of responding from emotion, she takes 3 deep breaths, closes her laptop, and walks to the window. She asks herself, what would a virtuous response look like here? How can I address this professionally while maintaining my integrity? This scenario illustrates the profound power of the first affirmation in our daily arsenal of Stoic wisdom. When you start your day with, today I control my reactions, you're setting a clear intention to engage with the world around you on your terms. You're deciding that no matter what happens, whether it's workplace criticism, family conflicts, traffic delays, or unexpected challenges, your response will be measured, thoughtful, and aligned with your deepest values. Marcus Aurelius, who faced assassination attempts, military campaigns, and political betrayals, wrote extensively about the importance of maintaining composure in the face of adversity. In his meditations, he reminds himself how much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does, but only to what he does himself. This isn't about ignoring others or becoming indifferent to their actions, but about recognizing that our primary responsibility is governing our own responses rather than trying to control others' behavior. The Stoic approach to emotional regulation goes far beyond simply suppressing feelings. It's about understanding emotions, examining them without judgment, and then choosing a course of action that aligns with rational thought and virtue. Seneca, the Roman statesman and philosopher, explained this beautifully: every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. When we feel anger, frustration, or disappointment, we can choose to see these emotions as endings, the end of our peace, the end of our rational thinking, or as beginnings, the beginning of an opportunity to practice virtue, the beginning of deeper self-understanding. Consider Marcus, a Boston emergency room doctor who practices this affirmation daily. During a particularly chaotic shift, a patient's family member begins screaming at him, accusing him of not caring about their loved one. The old Marcus might have responded defensively, escalating the situation. But the Marcus who begins each day affirming his control over his reactions pauses, recognizes the family's fear and pain behind their anger, and responds with compassion. I can see how worried you are. Let me explain exactly what we're doing to help your father and answer any questions you have. This transformation didn't happen overnight. Practicing "today I control my reactions" daily cultivates a habit of mindfulness that fundamentally changes how we navigate challenging situations. It encourages us to pause when triggered, to take a breath before responding, and to consider the wisest and most constructive way to proceed. Epictetus taught that wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants. Similarly, emotional wealth consists not in having no difficult emotions, but in having mastery over our responses to them. The neuroscience behind this practice is fascinating. When we encounter a triggering situation, our amygdala, the brain's alarm system, activates our fight or flight response within milliseconds. However, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking and decision-making, takes slightly longer to engage. That pause we create through mindful breathing gives our rational mind time to catch up, allowing us to respond from wisdom rather than react from impulse. Jennifer, a high school teacher in Phoenix, discovered this power during a particularly challenging parent-teacher conference. A parent began aggressively questioning her teaching methods and competence. Her initial impulse was to become defensive and argumentative. Instead, she silently repeated her morning affirmation, "Today I control my reactions." This gave her the space to recognize that the parent's aggression likely stemmed from concern for their child's academic struggles. She responded with empathy, "I can see how much you care about your daughter's success. Let's work together to find strategies that will help her thrive." The daily practice of this affirmation creates what psychologists call emotional regulation, the ability to manage and respond to emotional experiences in socially appropriate and personally beneficial ways. But the Stoics understood this concept 2,000 years before modern psychology gave it a name. They called it fortify, the virtue of self-control and moderation. Marcus Aurelius provides us with another powerful insight. Whenever you want to cheer yourself, consider the good qualities of your companions. This teaches us that controlling our reactions includes actively choosing to focus on positive aspects of situations and people, rather than allowing our minds to fixate on irritations and disappointments. It's not about being naive or ignoring real problems, but about maintaining perspective and choosing constructive rather than destructive thought patterns. The ripple effects of mastering your reactions extend far beyond personal peace. When you consistently respond to challenges with composure and wisdom, you become someone others can depend on during difficult times. Your colleagues begin to trust your judgment because they know you won't make decisions from emotional reactivity. Your family members feel safer bringing their problems to you because they know you'll listen without immediately becoming upset or defensive. Over time, this practice doesn't just change how you react in challenging situations. It changes how you live your daily life. You become known for your calmness, your ability to handle stress and conflict with grace, and your capacity to find constructive solutions even in difficult circumstances. You embody what the Stoics called ataraxia, a state of serene calmness and composure that remains unshaken by external circumstances. By affirming today I control my reactions each morning, you're not just preparing yourself to deal with potential stressors. You're training yourself to become a more thoughtful, resilient, and virtuous person. You're embracing the Stoic belief that you possess the inner strength to meet any challenge with dignity and wisdom. 3. The practice of focused virtue, directing your energy wisely. Imagine Alex, a young entrepreneur in San Francisco who wakes up each morning with a to-do list that stretches far beyond what one person could realistically accomplish in a day. The pressure to succeed in the competitive tech landscape often leaves him feeling overwhelmed and distracted. He finds himself constantly switching between tasks, responding to emails, and attending meetings without a clear sense of direction. In the midst of this chaos, Alex begins his day with the affirmation, "I will focus on what matters." This simple yet profound statement becomes his anchor, guiding him to clarify his priorities and align his actions with his core values. In the spirit of Stoicism, focusing on what truly matters is not just about productivity, it's about living a life of purpose and virtue. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote encapsulates the Stoic belief that while we cannot control external events, we can control our responses and the focus of our actions. By deliberately choosing to focus on what matters, we actively shape our daily experiences rather than allowing the whirlwind of life to dictate our paths. The Stoics believed in the importance of aligning one's actions with one's values and virtues. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, emphasizes this idea when he writes, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This is a powerful reminder that philosophical ideals are not merely abstract concepts, but actionable guides that can inform our decisions and behaviors. Instead of getting bogged down in the minutiae of daily distractions, we must ask ourselves, what virtues do I want to embody today? How can I ensure that my actions reflect my principles? For Alex, this means taking a step back each morning to identify his core values, integrity, innovation, and service. With these anchors in mind, he can then prioritize his tasks for the day. When faced with competing demands for his attention, he evaluates each task through the lens of his values. Does this align with my mission? Will this bring me closer to my goals? By doing so, he transforms his to-do list into a reflection of his character and aspirations. Consider another example. Lisa, a high school teacher in New York City, begins her mornings with the same affirmation. Facing a class of diverse students, each with unique challenges and backgrounds, she must decide how to allocate her energy throughout the day. By focusing on what matters, fostering a supportive and inclusive classroom environment, Lisa actively chooses to invest her time in building relationships with her students rather than getting lost in administrative tasks or grading. This approach requires discipline and clarity of purpose. The Stoics recognized that distractions can take many forms, from minor annoyances to major crises. They practiced prosoke, a form of vigilant attention to what truly matters, and this discipline is essential in modern life. In today's world, where we are bombarded with notifications, social media distractions, and endless information, cultivating the ability to focus is more important than ever. Seneca, another prominent Stoic philosopher, warned against the dangers of distraction when he said, "The mind is a place of its own, and in this place you can either be a king or a slave." This quote encourages us to recognize that we have the power to control our mental environment. By practicing focused virtue, we can decide what deserves our attention and what does not. One practical technique for honing this focus is the Eisenhower Matrix, a prioritization tool that helps individuals distinguish between urgent and important tasks. By categorizing tasks into 4 quadrants: urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and neither urgent nor important, individuals can clarify where to direct their energy. This method aligns perfectly with the Stoic principle of distinguishing between what is truly valuable and what is merely a distraction. Imagine Alex using the Eisenhower matrix to evaluate his day. He realizes that while responding to emails feels urgent, it may not be the most important task in terms of his long-term goals. Instead, he prioritizes brainstorming new product ideas, an activity that aligns with his value of innovation. This shift in focus not only enhances his productivity but also brings him greater satisfaction, as he knows he is working in alignment with his core principles. Moreover, this practice of focusing on what matters extends beyond individual productivity to encompass relationships and community engagement. By affirming, "I will focus on what matters," we are reminded to invest our time and energy into nurturing meaningful connections with family, friends, and colleagues. The Stoics emphasized the significance of community and the interconnectedness of all individuals. Marcus Aurelius urged us to remember that we are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. When we focus on what truly matters, we prioritize these connections, fostering a sense of belonging and mutual support. In addition to personal and professional applications, focusing on what matters can transform how we engage with broader societal issues. In a world rife with division and conflict, Stoic principles can guide us toward constructive dialogue and understanding. As we navigate complex conversations about justice, equity, and community, we can ask ourselves, what virtues do I want to embody in this discussion? How can I contribute positively to the collective good? This perspective fosters a sense of responsibility and accountability, encouraging us to align our actions with our values, not just in our personal lives, but in our interactions with the world at large. The Stoics believed that living virtuously contributes to the greater good, and by focusing on what matters, we can become agents of positive change in our communities. Ultimately, the practice of focusing on what matters is about more than just productivity. It's about living a life of integrity and purpose. By incorporating the affirmation, "I will focus on what matters," into our daily routines, we remind ourselves to prioritize our values and direct our energy toward what truly enriches our lives and the lives of those around us. This commitment not only enhances our personal fulfillment but also cultivates a deeper sense of connection with others and the world we inhabit. 4. The path of preferred indifference, choosing growth over ease. Consider the story of Tom, a mid-level manager at a bustling corporate firm in Chicago. Each day, he faces a barrage of emails, meetings, and the never-ending pressure to perform. For Tom, the path of least resistance often seems the most appealing. After a long week, he finds himself tempted by the idea of indulging in fast food and binge-watching shows over the weekend instead of taking the time to cook healthy meals and engage in activities that promote personal growth. However, Tom recently embraced a Stoic affirmation, "I choose courage over comfort." This powerful statement has become his guiding principle, pushing him to embrace challenges rather than shy away from them. By focusing on courage, Tom recognizes that true fulfillment lies not in the ease of immediate gratification, but in the long-term benefits of growth and virtue. This Stoic perspective invites us to redefine our understanding of comfort and challenge, urging us to seek out opportunities that foster our character and resilience. The ancient Stoics, particularly Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, understood that comfort could often lead to complacency. Seneca warned, "No man was ever wise by chance." This wisdom reflects the Stoic belief that growth requires conscious effort and often involves stepping outside our comfort zones. When we choose the path of comfort, we risk stagnation, both personally and professionally. Tom's story illustrates how embracing discomfort can lead to meaningful change. Picture Tom preparing for a big presentation. Instead of opting for the easy route of glossing over the material and relying on his usual talking points, he commits to rigorous preparation. He spends extra hours honing his skills and practicing his delivery. While the effort is uncomfortable at times, he embraces it as part of his growth journey. When the day of the presentation arrives, Tom feels confident and well-prepared. The outcome? A successful presentation that impresses both his colleagues and superiors, demonstrating that courage in the face of discomfort can lead to significant rewards. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the necessity of embracing challenges in his meditations. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This powerful insight reminds us that obstacles are not merely barriers. They can be transformed into stepping stones for personal development. When we confront difficulties with courage, we cultivate resilience and strength, shaping ourselves into individuals capable of navigating the complexities of life. In contrast, when we choose ease over growth, we deny ourselves the opportunity to learn and evolve. Lisa, a nurse in New York City, faced a similar dilemma. After a particularly challenging week in the hospital, she felt tempted to skip her regular workout routine, opting instead for a night of relaxation on the couch. However, she remembered her affirmation, "I choose courage over comfort." Instead of succumbing to fatigue, she decided to go for a run, allowing the physical exertion to clear her mind and uplift her spirit. By pushing through her discomfort, Lisa not only enhanced her physical health but also improved her mental well-being, demonstrating how the path of courage can lead to holistic benefits. The Stoic concept of preferred indifference is crucial to understanding this principle. In Stoicism, preferred indifference refers to external factors, such as wealth, health, and success, that are not inherently good or bad but can be used to support a virtuous life. Seneca noted, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This perspective encourages us to appreciate what we have while acknowledging that true wealth lies in our character and virtue. When we choose to cultivate courage over comfort, we redefine our relationship with these preferred indifference. Instead of seeking comfort as an end goal, we recognize that these external factors are tools to help us live virtuously. For instance, while financial stability can provide comfort, it is our response to challenges and our commitment to ethical living that determine our true wealth. By focusing on our internal state and how we respond to external pressures, we can navigate life with greater clarity and intention. Moreover, the practice of embracing discomfort cultivates a sense of gratitude for the journey itself. As we confront challenges, we learn to appreciate the lessons they bring. Epictetus advised, "Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do, and you will get on well." This shift in perspective opens us to embrace life's unpredictability, allowing us to find value in both the struggles and successes. In the modern context, consider the rise of the comfort culture that permeates our society. With the ubiquitous availability of entertainment, convenience foods, and immediate gratification, it's easy to become complacent. Yet, The Stoics remind us that true fulfillment arises from confronting discomfort and striving for personal excellence. Whether it's committing to a challenging fitness regimen, pursuing further education, or engaging in difficult conversations, these actions require courage and dedication. Tom's journey serves as a reminder that choosing courage over comfort is not a one-time decision but an ongoing practice. He learns that every small choice, whether to engage in a tough conversation with a team member, tackle a challenging project at work, or resist the allure of immediate pleasure, contributes to the development of his character. Each act of bravery reinforces his identity as someone who embraces challenges rather than shying away from them. In embracing the Stoic principle, we become active participants in our growth journey. We recognize that life is a series of choices, each moment providing an opportunity to choose courage, resilience, and virtue over passivity and comfort. This practice not only enhances our personal development but also influences those around us, creating a ripple effect of courage and intentionality in our communities. Ultimately, the path of preferred indifference invites us to redefine our understanding of success and fulfillment. It challenges us to shift our focus from external comforts to the cultivation of internal virtues. By affirming "I choose courage over comfort" each morning, we commit to living a life that prioritizes growth, resilience, and virtuous action. 5. The discipline of desire, embracing present abundance. Picture Maria, a software developer in San Francisco, scrolling through her Instagram feed during her lunch break. She sees her college friend's vacation photos from Bali, a colleague's promotion announcement, and another friend's engagement ring that costs more than her annual rent. By the time she puts her phone down, Maria feels inadequate, anxious, and deeply dissatisfied with her own life. Her comfortable apartment suddenly feels cramped, her steady job seems boring, and her single status feels like a personal failure. This scenario plays out millions of times daily across America as social media and consumer culture constantly remind us of what we lack rather than what we possess. Now imagine David, a teacher in Denver, who begins each morning with the affirmation, "I am grateful for this moment." When he encounters the same social media triggers, something fundamentally different happens. Instead of comparison and envy, he experiences appreciation for his own journey. He sees his friends' vacation photos and feels genuine joy for their happiness. He views his colleagues' success as inspiration rather than competition. This shift doesn't happen through denial or forced positivity. It emerges from a deep Stoic understanding of gratitude and present moment awareness. The fourth Stoic affirmation, "I am grateful for this moment," embodies what the ancient philosophers called the discipline of desire. This practice involves training ourselves to want what we have rather than constantly craving what we lack. Epictetus, who understood suffering intimately through his experience as a slave, taught that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This wisdom directly challenges our culture's message that happiness comes through acquisition and achievement. Marcus Aurelius, despite having access to the entire Roman Empire's resources, regularly reminded himself to appreciate simple pleasures. In his meditations, he wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own." This passage reveals how gratitude can transform even difficult relationships into opportunities for philosophical practice. Consider Sarah, a nurse working night shifts at a hospital in Atlanta. Her job is physically demanding, emotionally draining, and often thankless. She witnesses humans suffering daily and deals with stressed families, overworked colleagues, and institutional limitations. Yet Sarah has learned to find profound meaning in her work through practicing morning gratitude. She begins each shift by acknowledging her ability to help others, her stable employment during uncertain times, and the privilege of being present during some of life's most significant moments, births, recoveries, and peaceful passings. The neuroscience behind gratitude practice reveals why this affirmation creates such powerful changes. When we actively appreciate our current circumstances, our brains release dopamine and serotonin, the same chemicals associated with happiness and well-being. More importantly, regular gratitude practice literally rewires our neural pathways, making it easier to notice positive aspects of our lives rather than fixating on problems and deficiencies. Seneca understood this principle long before modern neuroscience confirmed it. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When we spend our mental energy lamenting what we lack or anxiously pursuing future achievements, we miss the richness available in the present moment. The discipline of desire teaches us to extract maximum value from our current circumstances rather than postponing satisfaction until some future condition is met. This practice becomes particularly powerful when facing genuine hardships. Jennifer, a single mother in Chicago, lost her job during the pandemic and struggled to pay rent while homeschooling her 2 children. Rather than being consumed by anxiety about the future or bitterness about her circumstances, she practiced daily gratitude for her children's health, her family's support, and her own resilience. This didn't magically solve her financial problems, but it provided the emotional stability necessary to take constructive action rather than being paralyzed by despair. The Stoic concept of amor fati, love of fate, represents the ultimate expression of this discipline. Rather than merely accepting our circumstances, we learn to embrace them as necessary components of our growth and character development. Marcus Aurelius exemplified this when he wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate associates you." This isn't passive resignation but active appreciation for the opportunities that our specific circumstances provide. Modern research on hedonic adaptation supports this ancient wisdom. Studies show that people who achieve major life goals, getting promoted, buying dream homes, or finding romantic partners, experience only temporary increases in happiness before returning to baseline levels. Meanwhile, people who cultivate gratitude for their existing circumstances maintain higher levels of life satisfaction regardless of external changes. The practice of present-moment gratitude also enhances our relationships. When we appreciate people as they are rather than focusing on how they might change or what they could provide, we create deeper connections. Tom, a marketing manager in Boston, transformed his marriage by applying this principle. Instead of mentally cataloging his wife's shortcomings or comparing their relationship to others, he began each day by appreciating her unique qualities and contributions to their partnership. This affirmation particularly challenges American culture's emphasis on individual achievement and material success. The American dream traditionally promises that hard work leads to prosperity and happiness, but this narrative often creates endless cycles of striving and dissatisfaction. The Stoic alternative suggests that contentment comes not from external acquisition but from internal appreciation. Practicing "I am grateful for this moment" doesn't mean becoming complacent or abandoning goals. Rather, it provides a stable foundation from which to pursue meaningful objectives. When we're not driven by desperate need or comparison-based anxiety, we can make clearer decisions about what truly matters and pursue those goals with greater peace and effectiveness. The ripple effects of this practice extend far beyond personal well-being. Grateful people tend to be more generous, more patient, and more resilient during community challenges. They contribute to positive social dynamics rather than perpetuating cycles of complaint and competition. By affirming daily gratitude for the present moment, we align ourselves with the Stoic understanding that true wealth lies not in our possessions, but in our perspective, not in our circumstances, but in our character. 6. The eternal student, transforming obstacles into wisdom. Meet James, a restaurant owner in Detroit whose business was thriving until the pandemic forced him to close his doors for 3 months. When he finally reopened, he faced reduced capacity, supply chain disruptions, and a dramatically changed customer base. Many business owners in his situation became bitter, blaming external forces for their struggles. But James approached his challenges differently. Each morning, he affirmed, "I seek wisdom in all experiences." This simple statement transformed his perspective from victim to student, turning his obstacles into a masterclass in resilience, adaptation, and business innovation. Instead of lamenting his circumstances, James began asking different questions. What is this situation teaching me about my business model? How can these constraints force me to become more creative? What skills am I developing that I never would have learned in normal times? Through this lens, he discovered that reduced seating capacity pushed him to perfect his takeout operations, supply chain issues taught him to build relationships with local farmers, and financial pressure forced him to eliminate inefficiencies he'd ignored for years. By the end of the first year, his business was not only surviving but thriving in ways he never imagined possible. This transformation exemplifies the 5th Stoic affirmation's power to reframe our relationship with adversity. Marcus Aurelius, who faced plagues, wars, and political upheavals throughout his reign, understood that obstacles could become opportunities for growth. In his meditations, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't mere philosophical optimism, it's a practical framework for extracting maximum value from every experience, regardless of whether we initially perceive it as positive or negative. The Stoics believed that wisdom wasn't an abstract concept to be studied in isolation, but a practical skill to be developed through engagement with life's challenges. Seneca, who survived exile, financial ruin, and political persecution, wrote, "Every change of fortune affects either our person or our possessions. The wise man is prepared for either." This preparation comes not from avoiding difficulties, but from approaching them with curiosity and openness to learning. Consider Maria, a marketing executive in Los Angeles who was passed over for a promotion she'd worked toward for 2 years. Her initial reaction was disappointment and anger, emotions that would have been entirely justified. However, her daily practice of seeking wisdom in all experiences prompted her to dig deeper. She scheduled feedback sessions with her supervisors, analyzed her performance objectively, and identified specific areas for improvement. More importantly, she recognized that her attachment to this particular outcome had been limiting her vision of other possibilities. 6 months later, Maria accepted a position at a startup that offered greater responsibility, equity participation, and alignment with her values, opportunities that wouldn't have been available if she'd received the original promotion. The failure had redirected her toward a path she never would have considered otherwise. As she reflected later, getting passed over was the best thing that could have happened to my career, but I only realized that because I chose to learn from it rather than just complain about it. This approach requires what the Stoics called prosoke, continuous attention to the lessons embedded in our daily experiences. It means asking ourselves, what is this teaching me about patience? How is this challenge developing my problem-solving skills? What does this relationship reveal about my communication patterns? These questions transform us from passive recipients of circumstances into active participants in our own development. The concept extends beyond personal challenges to encompass our interactions with others. David, a high school principal in Phoenix, deals daily with frustrated parents, overwhelmed teachers, and struggling students. Rather than viewing these interactions as burdens to endure, he approaches each one as an opportunity to practice empathy, develop conflict resolution skills, and deepen his understanding of human nature. A difficult parent conference becomes a lesson in patience and active listening. A budget crisis becomes an exercise in creative problem-solving and stakeholder communication. Epictetus, who understood suffering intimately through his experience as a slave, taught that our interpretations of events matter more than the events themselves. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This wisdom invites us to become researchers of our own lives, studying our reactions and responses with the same curiosity a scientist brings to their experiments. The practice of seeking wisdom in all experiences also cultivates intellectual humility, the recognition that no matter how much we know, there's always more to learn. Sarah, a surgeon in Boston with 20 years of experience, maintains this perspective by treating each challenging case as an opportunity to refine her skills and expand her knowledge. When a procedure doesn't go as planned, instead of becoming defensive, she conducts thorough reviews with her team, consults with colleagues, and adjusts her approach for future cases. This mindset proves particularly valuable in our rapidly changing world. The skills that made us successful yesterday may not be sufficient for tomorrow's challenges. The industries that seemed stable may be disrupted by technological innovation. The relationships that felt secure may require new forms of communication and understanding. By approaching these changes as learning opportunities rather than threats, we maintain adaptability and resilience. Modern research supports this ancient wisdom. Studies in neuroplasticity show that our brains continue developing throughout our lives, but only when we expose ourselves to new challenges and experiences. The concept of post-traumatic growth demonstrates that people can emerge from difficult experiences stronger and wiser than before, but only when they actively engage with their challenges rather than simply enduring them. The practice also transforms our relationship with failure. Instead of viewing mistakes as evidence of inadequacy, we begin to see them as data points in our ongoing development. Thomas Edison's famous observation that he didn't fail 1,000 times while inventing the light bulb but rather found 1,000 ways that didn't work exemplifies this mindset. Each failure provided information that brought him closer to success. By affirming, "I seek wisdom in all experiences" each morning, we commit to approaching our days with curiosity rather than defensiveness, openness rather than rigidity, and growth rather than stagnation. We become eternal students in the university of life, where every experience, pleasant or challenging, serves as curriculum for our ongoing development. This perspective doesn't minimize genuine suffering or suggest that all experiences are equally pleasant. Rather, it recognizes that we always have a choice in how we respond to our circumstances, and that choice determines whether our experiences diminish us or strengthen us. The daily renewal, committing to philosophical practice. As we reach the end of our journey through these 5 transformative Stoic affirmations, imagine yourself 6 months from now. Picture waking up in your Chicago apartment, your Seattle home, or your Miami condo with a fundamentally different relationship to your day. Instead of anxiety about uncontrollable circumstances, you feel grounded in your ability to respond with wisdom. Rather than being overwhelmed by endless distractions, you move through your day with clear focus on what truly matters. Where you once felt reactive and scattered, you now embody the calm strength that comes from daily philosophical practice. This transformation isn't magical. It's the natural result of consistent commitment to these ancient principles. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. Each morning presents us with the opportunity to renew our commitment to living virtuously, to approach our challenges with wisdom, and to contribute positively to the world around us. The 5 affirmations we've explored, controlling our reactions, focusing on what matters, choosing courage over comfort, embracing gratitude for the present moment, and seeking wisdom in all experiences, form a complete framework for Stoic living. They're not merely words to recite, but principles to embody. Not just morning rituals, but lifelong practices that shape our character and influence our communities. Carl Jung's insight that your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart perfectly captures the essence of this daily practice. Each affirmation serves as a moment of looking inward, awakening to our potential for growth, and preparing to navigate life's complexities with integrity and purpose. Just as a navigator uses stars to chart a course across turbulent waters, these affirmations help us maintain direction toward our highest values regardless of external storms. The ripple effects of this practice extend far beyond personal transformation. When you consistently respond to challenges with composure, focus your energy on meaningful pursuits, choose growth over ease, appreciate your present circumstances, and approach difficulties as learning opportunities, you become a source of stability and inspiration for others. Your colleagues notice your calm leadership during crises. Your family feels the peace that comes from your grounded presence. Your community benefits from your thoughtful contributions. Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Some mornings, you'll feel the power of these affirmations immediately. Other days, you'll struggle to believe them. Both experiences are part of the journey. The Stoics understood that character development requires patience, consistency, and self-compassion. What matters is showing up each day, recommitting to your growth, and trusting the process. As you begin implementing these practices, you're joining a community of individuals committed to living with greater wisdom, resilience, and purpose. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to subscribe to the Stoic Vivu channel, where we continue exploring how ancient wisdom applies to modern life. Like this video to help others discover these transformative principles, and share it with friends and family who might benefit from this philosophical approach to daily living. Your morning words truly are the architects of your day. Choose them wisely, speak them consistently, and watch as they construct a life of deeper meaning, stronger character, and lasting fulfillment.